What's up, young people? How you doing? My name is Ben Cutting and I'm a digital evangelist for Youth for Christ, and I run a YouTube channel called Intro Outro. Here's a little taster of what that looks like. So basically, I get to travel up and down the country, sometimes across the world, making YouTube videos for young people. It's an absolute dream job. And it's my absolute joy to be able to hang out with you guys this afternoon and look at the Bible together. Now for me, Christian life and my personal life haven't always been one and the same. They haven't always been mixed. It's not always easy. And there's a book in the Bible called Hebrews. And the writer of Hebrews understands that faith isn't always easy. In fact, he describes it as a race, and not like a sprint, but a marathon, something that we have to persist in, something that we have to persevere in. And he talks about faith as a journey. There are times where it's difficult. There are times where it's really, really tough. And I know this experience probably more so than anyone. When I was about 19 years old, I turned to my family and I said, guys, I'm gonna run a marathon. And my family probably would have reacted something like this.
Ben's gonna run a marathon? No way. The only marathon that Ben could do is a sleeping marathon.
Yeah, right. Are you going to be able to do a marathon? Don't believe it at all.
What? You? A marathon?
You're going to run a marathon?
What? Ben is going to do a marathon? Oh, you're joking.
And it's very much the same for me now. I run every single day, mostly so that I can eat Haribo in the evening. That is absolutely true. I run so I can eat Haribo. I run so I can eat Percy Pigs. But in 2009, when I was 19 years old, I decided that I was going to run the Barcelona Marathon. And we've seen some of my reactions from my family. My friends reacted in exactly the same way. They were like, Ben, you're joking. You hate running. What are you thinking? And they were right to feel like that. For those of you who don't know, a marathon is 26.2 miles. So it's a long old way. Before the marathon that I ran in Barcelona, the longest I'd run was 10 miles. I'd never even completed half of the amount of miles compared to the actual marathon day. And I'd only completed the 10-mile run because my friend said to me, Ben, if you complete 10 miles today, we'll have Domino's pizza tonight. And I was like, okay. And so I ran for the motivation that I could have Domino's afterwards, and I ran 10 miles. And this was about 2 months before the marathon. And then I didn't do any more training. I turned up in Barcelona, and some of you will understand the concept of running. You have to have a good pair of trainers. You have to understand they have to fit your feet, otherwise you get blisters like me this morning. I went to Barcelona with no running trainers. The only thing I had was football AstroTurf trainers. In my mind, I thought the marathon's on Sunday, I'm going out on Friday, so Saturday, that gives me a whole day to shop for running trainers. Saturday morning, I woke up, I went out to buy running trainers. I went in one jog in them and thought, nah, these are going to give me blisters. I'll run in my AstroTurf trainers. Now, some of you might be thinking, Ben, what are you thinking? And you'd be right to think that, because I was not prepared at all. But it gets worse. Saturday night before the marathon, a friend turns to me and says, yo, there's a football match tonight. And I'm thinking, okay, that sounds good. I've been to a football match in England before. I love football. I'd love to go. And then he buys me a ticket. He says, oh yeah, but because it's one of the hottest weekends, the game doesn't kick off till 11 p.m. I'm thinking, what football match doesn't kick off till 11 p.m? And something to do with TV rights and the fact that they're on later. And so I'm like, you know what, it'll be okay. I'll get back in bed by 1, I'll have a few hours sleep, I'll wake up for the marathon. I didn't get back to the hostel till 2:30 in the morning. And when I walked back into the hostel room, all of my friends who were running the marathon as well were all fast asleep. And I was thinking, maybe there's something not right here. Maybe I should have been in bed already. The morning of the marathon comes. You're thinking, how can my preparation get any worse, right? The truth is, it does. I wake up and the hostel are offering a Sunday morning all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet. Other people that are running the marathon are eating yogurts and energy bars and having fruit juice and fruit, and I'm there scoffing down bacon, eggs, sausages, hash browns, and it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. All right, that's where I make my money back from the room, and so I'm absolutely going to town on it. This was me at the start of the race. I know it's not a good quality picture because it's a few years ago, but I was optimistic. I put my thumbs up and I was ready to go. And suddenly I was thinking, what on earth am I doing? I've got to now run for 4.5 hours. So I start and I get halfway in under 2 hours, which is really, really good time and I was really happy with. But when I got to the 18th mile, 18.2 miles exactly, my hamstring tendon snapped. And so I stopped and I was in a lot of pain and I thought to myself, what on earth am I going to do? So I just started limping. And as I started to limp, I got a few miles in and then all of a sudden an ambulance started following me. And this ambulance guy started shouting and saying something in Spanish, which I imagine is, hey, you need to get in. We're here to collect people who are injured. You have to get in the ambulance. And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm running. I'm finishing the race. I'm completing it. And then it got to a point where I was so unbearable at about 20th mile that a friend of mine who was running, he grabbed my arm, put it around his shoulder, and he started to carry me. And the next thing I know is that there's an Italian guy comes up and says, hey, I want to help. I want to put my arm around you. I want to help you along the journey. And so I'm in the Barcelona Marathon. I've got an Italian man on my left, and I've got Dave, my bald-headed friend who's a bit older, on my right, and they're carrying me for 6 miles effectively, and I'm limping the whole way. What a moment it was to reach the finish line. I reached the finish line and I was wrapped up in a silver blanket, like a shock blanket that people put when they've had trauma. And I was put in the back of an ambulance. I didn't get taken anywhere to hospital. I just got assessed and they said, oh, it'll just heal. It'll just take a long time to heal. There's nothing we can do. And then I had pizza because they had pizza at the finish line. But I finished the race. I finished the marathon. Yes, there were absolute times of uncertainty, but I finished the race. And as I said earlier, the writer of Hebrews in chapter 12, verse 1-3, talks about faith as a race. And I don't know where you're at on your faith journey as a race. You might be stood at the start line, but you might be thinking, I've got this, I'm really enjoying it, I'm okay. Others of you might have just started and I might be thinking, oh my goodness, I feel my hamstring's going to go already. Others of you might be crawling to the finish line. Some of you might not even have signed up to run the race at all. Some of you might have fallen onto this link and thinking, what on earth am I watching? Some guy chat about a marathon. And I'm going to read Hebrews 12, verse 1-3 quickly for us now, and it'll appear on the screen. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. And I want to make 3 really, really simple, quick points for us. The first is to be proactive and not reactive. My approach to my marathon was totally reactive, which means when I got over 10 miles, I'd never experienced anything like that before. And so I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to overcome certain obstacles. Why? Because I didn't prepare well. If I'd have gone out and run 4 marathons beforehand in my training, then the marathon on the day would have been a lot easier. My body would have known what was going on after 10 miles, but in fact it hadn't a clue, and so it shut down and started to break. We need to be proactive and not reactive, and it's the same in the life of faith. Verse 1 says that we've got to throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. I want you to imagine for a second that I tried to run the marathon, but I had my legs tied together. There would be no point, right? And so what the writer of Hebrews is saying is effectively anything that is burdening you, if you're carrying baggage, if you're carrying excess weight that you know you can get rid of, then leave it behind. Don't carry it through the life journey of faith. In the same way that I would never have run a marathon with a bag of bricks on my back, the writer of Hebrews here is saying, hey, Jesus died for and he rose again and he overcame so that you can leave your burdens at the cross, which means we don't have to carry them through life anymore. And God is inviting us into a relationship and he's saying, I want you to run with me. A second point is to run with others. Now, the writer of Hebrews talks about a great cloud of witnesses. So there are people around watching, like in a marathon, there are people cheering you on. And sometimes there are people that want you to fail. Now, it's about working out, are these people that we want to run with or not? Are these people that are going to come alongside you like Dave did, my friend, and the Italian guy, who I still don't know the name of? Are they people that are going to put their arms around you for a time and carry you and help you through? Because God provides those people. Or are they people that are going to want to trip you up? Are they people that are going to want to see you fail? So it's important that when we're running with others, there are people watching. They won't always want what's best for us. And it's important that we discern what type of people they are, which means to ask God and to speak to God and say, God, are these people that I can run with? Are these the best friends that I could be hanging out with right now? Are these people that want what's best for me? Is it wise for me to hang out with this certain group of people on this night if I know that they're going to do a certain thing? They're the sort of questions that we need to ask. And the third point is to persevere to Jesus, to fix our eyes on him. There's a story in the Bible of Jesus walking on water, and he invites one of the disciples, Peter, to get out of the boat. And as Peter gets out of the boat, he starts to walk on water towards Jesus. And the incredible thing about this moment is that when he fixes his eyes on Jesus, he's walking on water. The moment he realizes what he's doing, the moment he starts to think, oh my goodness, I'm walking on water, he starts to drown. He starts to sink. And Jesus puts out his hands and he grabs hold of him. So what this means is to fix our eyes on Jesus, to fix our eyes on the one who writes our story, to fix our eyes on the God who created us, who loves us, who wants what's best for us. And at times, that's really difficult. Now, for me running the marathon, the only thing getting me through, I fixed my eyes on the finish line. And as Christians, we believe that our finish line is heaven. Earth is not a place that we call home long term, because as Christians, we believe that Jesus overcame death and one day he's coming back. And when we die, we have a place with Christ in heaven. Because Jesus was raised from the dead, so we will be raised as well, raised to heaven to live eternally with God. Now, yes, we're talking about heaven as our eternal home, which means our forever home, the place where we will be after we die. But on this life, we want to fix our eyes on Jesus. We want to fix our eyes on the truth of what he says about us. The fact that we're loved, we're not a mistake, we're chosen. And we can run our race with him. It's almost as if Jesus has got his arm around us and saying, hey, I'm going to run with you and I'm going to join you in this journey. But keep your eyes fixed on me. Don't worry about anything else that's going on. Don't worry about the coronavirus. Don't worry about the situations. Yes, they're very real. But what happens when you fix your eyes on me, everything else fades away. And so he's inviting us as runners and as people that persevere to fix our eyes on him, the author, the writer of our story, and he's inviting us in. So there you have it. The first point is to be proactive, not reactive, to make sure that we're prepared for the journey ahead. Second is to run with others. Look for those that are running towards God and say, can we join you in this? And the third is to persevere and fix our eyes on Jesus. Young people, it's been an honour to hang out with you this afternoon, and I will catch you in a video very, very soon.